Hello there. This is a recording post webinar, so wanted to give a quick introduction to what we're doing here today. My name is Randy Marcotte. I'm the CIO at DCS Global and one of the co-founders, former CEO of Perfect Video Conferencing. During our merger of organizations, we were looking at ways of enhancing the AV, digital signage, and kiosk ecosystem that we run, and with one of our customers coming to us with a need, and quite frankly, a gap in what we do and what's in the market, we discovered Maptician. And so this demo today is about what Maptician does and why you should give it a thought. Now, many of you who are going to get this recording are clients of ours who already have wayfinding, door jammed based signs that say occupied or not occupied. This is that plus more on steroids. And then in many of our client bases, we're also dealing with the equity needs of a hybrid work world where we at home office one day, in a cube farm the next day, or maybe booking a huddle room on the following day. So it's how do we manage those assets elegantly? And then from our perspective, we saw this as a technical challenge. And so our CTO, Gary, looked critically at what Maptician does and how it integrates and the cycles to create a relationship between Office 365 and your calendaring tool. And I'm assuming Google, Ashley. And
yes, yep.
So that's more of a Gary question, but yes, great. Glad. The integration to the things you already use for us was key. And then when Rich looked at the platform, the key thing for him was it's helping, because he's the operations guy and deals with build outs. It's how do we make sure that you can plan the space accurately, or quite frankly, modify the plan as your user behaviors change. For me, it's about the partnership. I looked at it and Maptician people are nice. And so I figured, why not? And so there's a lot more to it from me about what I like, but I generally talk too much. At this point, I am going to hand it off to the nice people. So Ashley, thank you very much for your time. I'm looking forward to this demo. Take it from here.
Well, the feeling is certainly mutual, Randy. And so thank you so much. And just since we had a little bit of a break between the webinar and demo, a quick introduction. My name's Ashley Alberry, and I'm our COO here at Maptician. And with me today, I have our CEO, Ala Pasha, and our implementation lead, Katie King. So Ala and I are going to walk you through the software at a rapid speed. So I'm going to be challenged by that, and I am going to try and do a high-level demo here in the next 10 to 15 minutes and hand it to Ala for some of that as well. So I am going to share my screen, and I will get launched. Alrighty. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
I'm still trying. Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right, so Ala and I love to tag team these demos, so that's what we're going to do today. So what you're seeing as you log into a Maptician environment is right now you're seeing everything. So as an administrator of the solution, you would see all of this. Your end users would never see all of this. So this is really the core of our hybrid office and space planning tool. And so that's what I'm going to go through first, and then I'm going to toss it to Alan. He's going to go through the conference room side of things and mobile as well. So we have all of that. So I mentioned earlier today on our webinar that we are on a quest to have all of your office solutions under one roof, and that would be our Maptician platform. So what you're seeing right here is a floor plan that we take from you in either PDF or DWG format. It doesn't matter what it is. We have architects on staff who draft that into Maptician. And this is really kind of the core of the Maptician platform, and then we build upon that. And so you're seeing that right here in a little bit of a condensed version. I'm going to dig in a second. And this is what is called our planned schedule widget. So we have about 40 widgets. This is just happens to be a favorite of our clients and mine. And so what you're seeing here is who is in office right now. And they're going to start illuminating here in green a little bit larger than the original. And those are either triggered by an IP-based integration or a badge swipe integration, access control. And so the idea there is I get a quick view, even as an employee, I could get a quick view of my colleagues who are in, the 32 who are in, and the 15 who are expected to be in but have not yet arrived. The reason for this, so this is, I'm kind of saying the how, the why is because as an employee, I really want to be able, especially in a hybrid world, to understand when my colleagues are going to be in the office so that we can better collaborate. So if I have a meeting with Ala and I have a project we're working on and it's like in person is going to be better for this one, it's really nice for me to be able to have a quick view of when Ala's planning to be in the office. And then as I'm measuring these results as an administrator or as a, HR, operations, IT, I'm able to really understand how my office space is being used. So as I hover over these people over here, they're illuminating in red. And so it also acts as a really nice directory for your people. And this actually comes into play within the conference room signage as well. So that's why I'm spending some time here. I can filter by department. I can filter by a specific person. I can favorite people if I want. And I think I do have a favorite there, just doesn't happen to be on the development team. So as I hover over Nick, you're seeing him illuminate in red with a yellow ring. He actually has 2 seats, so he's illuminating twice. So it's a really nice tool to be able to see where people are quickly. Also in the future. So as I scrub into the future, and I'm just interested in Tuesday, September 27th, because maybe I have another project I need to work on. Here's what's happening then. There are 43 people going to be in the office. So I'm going to grab a space at that point. And at any point in time, I can touch into the floor plan and then it will take me to that very spot. So maybe I'm using this as the September 27th context and I have a hoteling pod or maybe a cubicle farm, if you will. And I want to be able to just book a seat for that particular day. So I go in and I just go ahead and reserve for September 27th and I'm there. So all of our users are auto provisioning through Microsoft's Active Directory. And there's a variety of other ways too, but I won't get into that. But the idea there is that all users are always accurate. So they can book a space, whether that be a conference room or a desk, doesn't matter what it is. And then they do that booking and then they're there. We also have an integration in place so the photos can be automatically synced as well if they exist in Active Directory. So I'm actually going to move back over here. And by the way, I'm just right clicking amongst here and I can get anywhere on the map by doing that, but I'm going to show you some really cool functions as well. So if I just have a traditional office, that's just my traditional office, that's fine. I mean, you don't have to be hoteling, you don't have to be hybrid. You could have a little bit of everything in your office, and that's what we're looking at here. So Catherine Stanley, our CFO, I know a little bit about her, all coming over from Active Directory, and it gives me a little bit of information about her. I can touch Catherine's name here, click, and I can see a little bit about her again, maybe what her schedule is, and if she had some about information, I can click there and look at it. If I really want to focus in on the true hybrid environment with maybe schedules like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, or just true hoteling of seats, reserving seats, that's where this section of the map's really helpful to show. So I showed you how you do a quick reserve. I'm actually going to go back to the current time here. So if I reset to the current time, I can do that. And so my map changed, of course, because that's what's happening today, not on September 27th. So for this specific example, if I wanted to go in and let's just say I'm looking at, I want to make a reservation and maybe even I want to make a reservation for somebody else. So we call that a delegate reservation. So right now you can see that I'm logged in as myself, but maybe I'm going to select somebody that I'm going to reserve on behalf of them because they're never going to do it themselves. A very common use case in any industry. So maybe I'm going to actually reserve for Ala. And so you see now I'm grayed out. He's highlighted because I'm reserving for him now. And I want to just actually say today at 1:30. That sounds great. And I don't know, end time. It's a long reservation, but we're going to go with it. And maybe he doesn't love things just landing on his calendar that say reserved for Ala Pasha, very common use case. I'm going to say for Ala Ashley. And then maybe I have some messages for him. This is a new client. And maybe there's a conference URL like a Zoom link or something like that. And maybe it's a very private meeting. So lots of scenarios built into potential reservations. And then I go ahead and I reserve that seat. Now he is going to get an email because that integration is in place, and I will as well as his delegated reserver. So everybody's communicating, and if he is going to be in the office and also is going to reserve a conference room, everything's talking to each other. So he's going to be able to see everything that's been reserved on his behalf, whether that be a seat or a room. I'm going to take a quick second here. I always need to remind myself to have time for questions. So before I move on and talk a little bit about conference rooms and points of interest, are there any questions? Okay, I'm going to keep going then. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about points of interest first. So points of interest, it's kind of broad term. So let me tell you what it is. All it is it's a thing in your office you want to keep track of or you want people to be aware of. That's all it is. So that can be a AED defibrillator, it could be a break room, a coffee shop, it could be printers, very common. But the key here is that you can keep track of them as an admin, but your employees can access them and learn about them. So if I'm going to go to that AED defibrillator, it takes me right there on the floor plan. Here's that image of the AED defibrillator. Here's usage instructions because maybe I have no idea how to use that thing. And then there's some information as well. So it essentially acts as an asset tracker as well, but it is just very informative. So if I had a printer, if I needed to link to printer driver information, I could do that too. Okay, so again, you can scrub into the future at any time, and I showed you that in widget form. You can do that here too. I'm not going to dig too deep into that just since we are limited on time here. So conference rooms, everybody's super interested in conference rooms. So that functionality has been core to Maptician being that all-encompassing office solution. So what you're seeing here, you're going to see a very similar reservation calendar. But you're going to see a little bit more information about the room. So this can all be entered in our map editor tool, and I'll show you that very briefly here in a second. But I have my conference room, I have my capacity, I have its availability, I have the ability to reserve, and then I have the equipment and accessibility available in that room, which is all searchable and filterable as well. So if I wanted to do just a quick reserve, you can just see how the quick reserve works. We have it turning purple. You can, turn them colors as they reserve. You can also have points of interest inside of your conference room, like a system ID and instructions and things like that. So conference rooms today are very, very useful in the sense that we can use them in kiosk form. You can book in Maptician, you can book in Outlook, and everything talks together via our sync. And then the routing of information as well is super important, and that's coming very shortly. All right. So as I get out of this floor plan, by the way, floor plans, your seating and everything, and assets and rooms, all printable anytime. We have pretty much everything's printable and exportable here on the Maptician platform. Okay, so as I move about the application, I'm not going to get into everything, but I do want to show you some reporting functionality. So reports are very useful. I know we have at least one client on the line who knows reports are very useful and can be sent to you at any time that you would like them. But there are several that we can favorite. You can do, have many of them that are just coming to you every day at a different time. But I always like to show the location capacity summary report because it really shows you how you're actually using your space. And we're all using space differently now. So you probably are not using your space the same even as you were last month or the month prior. So having this reporting, this is why the whole floor planning is key, is because you want to be able to see how you're actually using that space. So if I have 94 total seats, these are physical seats, the traditional seats in our Alpharetta office, because of the way I'm actually using my space by having some hoteling seats, some permanent seats and the like, now I have a capacity of 163. So I really can start understanding space, but then right sizing my space as well. Several analytics available as well. Seat reports galore. Pretty much everything in Maptician's a breadcrumb, so it's reportable. So if we don't have it, we can create it. Okay, I'm going to pause again.
Sure. I know that this is a separate recording. So in the webinar, we talked about integrations in the front door to the seat experience. Wondering if the two of y'all could talk through the reception, the catering, the
Yes.
time limits, the grouping.
Absolutely. And I'll definitely chime in on this too. Yep. So integrations are super key to Maptician. So we try to integrate in all cases for automation purposes and so that you can have that one solution. So from a single sign-on standpoint, we can integrate with pretty much anything, typically Microsoft or Okta, auto provisioning of users, of course, the IP integration, so we can get that presence data access control, visitor management. So that's if somebody is at the front desk and needs to route information to an employee saying, I'm here. That's something that is definitely in our wheelhouse as well. And Ala, what am I forgetting? There tends to be a lot of-
I think you got it. I think you got it.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So the integrations, especially, I guess I didn't talk anything about the digital signage and hardware, but that's really the DCS integration that we're looking forward to.
Yeah, and then so a guest, Chris, and hey, Chris, good to hear you through chat. Asked, is the office plan imported from a file or done by you? And both options exist, so you can import, but then there's a customization that Maptician will do or can do based on that space planning. So the onboarding section is really kind of really important because as I've seen it, the spaces are customized, whereas the floor plan is a PDF. Right? So
Yep.
there may be
Exactly.
different assets that you map to those floor plans, but we will start with what you give us or
Yep.
take
Exactly.
and draw it ourselves. So from an integration space, and I know we want to keep the next little bit to 5 to 10 minutes. I'll just say that, when you walk in the door, there's a card swipe. That's IP information. And then when you sign in at the desk, that's integratable. And then when you book a conference room, the camera has AI behind it and we can collect data there. So we don't want to get spooky, creepy, but we also want to make sure that the occupancy of the rooms or the use of catering is done in certain rooms or not. And then the annoying guy, Randy, who keeps booking the adjacent office to the CEO so that he talks her ear off, well, he could be blocked from certain spaces or put into a different group. So you can do some tiering or some space planning based on work function and roles and irritation. So Al, I think you're up next, but I didn't know if there was anything else that came in. So, and then again, thanks Chris for the question.
Yeah, and I will toss it actually over to Ala right now.
Randy.
I have our map editor up just to know, I'm not going to go in depth with any of this. You can change anything. That's the short story.
We unmuted all the participants' mics too. So if you can, so Maptician folks, you can basically say to anyone out there, hey, have we answered this or is there any
great.
spoken
Okay. All right, Ala, it's all you.
Well, actually, I can't control the screen, so let me share.
Yep.
I got
I
it.
stopped sharing, so now you can share. Perfect.
Okay, I'm good, man. So you were showing the map editor, right?
Yep, but I'm thinking now, let's just jump right into the signage side of things and mobile.
Okay, yep. As a matter of fact, let me, what's this? Share. I had everything organized here, sorry. Can you see my screen, my mobile phone?
Yep, it's perfect.
Yeah, so this is basically the employee interface. As you can see, the stuff that Ashley was looking at is pretty involved. It's got a lot of things, those widgets, you can customize them to based on your position and your role, your interest. So let's say if you're more of a numbers person and you want to see stats about the office cost and the cost per square footage and stuff like that, that's there. If you're more of a visual person and you need to see the map and you need to see who's there and who's not, but here is basically the idea. It's fairly straightforward. This is what the home screen looks like. You can see the map. Anything that Ashley was able to do in the map, I can do here. Some basic information about this location, the reception number, the Wi-Fi. Literally, if I click here, let's say I'm a visitor, to that location and I need to get directions. As soon as I hit here, we'll copy this into my map. So just a few things that are simple and straightforward, allows employees to engage with the platform. We also have a bulletin, which our customers use, a lot. You can see here, we just put in a simple thing, welcome to DCS demo. Our customers use this to communicate with their folks, literally events. You can actually have RSVPs, throughout this as well. So a lot of times it's used as kind of a communication and collaboration tool. If you're looking for, let me go home here and let's say I'm looking for someone, I can search, folks by department. But let's say I want to see who's actually in the office or who's working remote today. So if I do this, it's showing me the spots of where they normally sit. But if I close this, these are the folks that are basically working remote, today. Very straightforward. If I want to look at rooms, let's say if I want to book a conference rooms, this is a conference room that I have. It says it's currently available. I would just say, when do I need to book it? Reserve, and it's booked it for 1 hour. Yes, book it. That conference room is booked and it's synchronized with my Outlook. So as you can see, just very straightforward. The same thing that Ashley was doing in the map, I can do here. It's obviously, you have a lot less real estate. So if I just want to move about the office to see what's available, who's sitting where, I see actually Paul is sitting right here and I need to grab a seat right next to him. I can go ahead to seat, say reserve it for today. I'm done. I've reserved the seat and now you can see my pictures in that seat. Obviously, we have it very open-ended here because this is a demo environment. So you can tell I can't like normally book like 3-4 seats, for myself. There are some restrictions and things like that that we can add. The same thing that I actually showed in terms of the time. If I want to look at this map at a future time, I can do the same thing. Let's say if I'm looking for just a printer, I'm looking for where the hand sanitizer is, where the mail room is. A lot of this actually comes in handy. A lot of our customers say they have visiting, that someone comes or visit office. So if you have 3-4 offices around the country, you always have visitors from one office visiting the other. So a lot of time they find some of this information very useful. Shifting gears here, I wanted to show, this is actually the room that I just reserved. This is our conference room signage. The room I literally just reserved, from the other interface. It says that this room now is occupied by me. If I want to end this reservation early, it makes the room available. And those are the devices that we were talking about, that you put at the conference room. Very easy to use. If I want to grab a room, I'm standing right now. Think of it as I'm standing in front of the room. On the right-hand side here, I can see the availability of the room. Very quick snapshot. I know it's available right now. If I need to go grab it for 30 minutes, I'm standing in front of it. I'm going to grab it. Now this room is booked and, it has my name on it. If I need to find the room, let's say I'm looking for a conference room that I need something that has the capacity of at least 5 people and no more than 10 people, maybe. You can see as I'm changing this, the list below, it's changing. So it's giving me basically what's available. So now if I need the room for, whatever that number is, I think 10 or 9, I can go grab one of these rooms and book it the same way, we booked it before. If I need to look for more specifics, I need a room that has, a phone, certain AV devices, whatever the case may be. As you can see here, it's filtering basically to where that room, will be. Room type, I can say I'm looking for a private office or I'm looking for a conference room. Basically a lot of search options, that you can use from standing in front of the room, literally, to be able to find and book a room. We also have a map here.
Just for a second, sir, because we do have a hand up. So I see that Katie had her hand up. Was that for now or for later? Want to make sure
I'm happy to take it now.
Katie is unmuted.
Apologies, that was a tap on accident.
Oh, so okay. Your hand up was a tap accident. Sorry about that, but I was paying attention.
That's all right. All good.
Good.
So the same thing you see from this map, except here we have, obviously, for privacy purposes, you see they don't see names, you don't see pictures of folks, because this is something that's maybe a room in the hallway, anyone has access to it. So we just put a few of these things for security purposes. So as you can see, a conference room signage, mobile app, very straightforward. I think Ashley pretty much covered everything on the other side in terms of the, if I can get back to it here. My mouse all of a sudden is acting funny. So I'm gonna go to my...
And while he's pivoting, Mehdi, I'd love to have you in the background pull up the DCS kiosk image, because I want to end on how this all comes together as a combined package. So once Maptician hands it back to us, we'll go over to that. So
I think Ashley covered pretty much everything on the other side, actually, of the platform. So I would love to maybe hand it over to you, Randy, if you got some wrap up, or happy to take any questions.
Good. We'll take any questions. I know in the webinar we talked about pricing, so I think it's useful in this separate recording from a demo perspective to just generally say this is going to go out on our YouTube channel and on LinkedIn. So pricing generally is a private conversation. So for the
Right.
purposes of affordability, it is amazingly affordable. It scales, and it's based on head count. And it's a
That's correct.
small number. You will pay more for some of your coffee machines and your courtesy events than you will for this ecosystem. And then the hardware that goes with it can be anywhere from an ink tablet to an iOS device. And so budget can determine device, and software isn't a barrier because the efficiency gains in the software, we have seen the case studies where this pays for itself by removing redundant software, unnecessary software, and making the booking and usage more effective. And then one set of numbers I ran for a customer was about optimizing that workspace, and they were able to reduce their physical real estate. And once you start dealing with lease numbers and occupancy, the budget numbers change, because real estate, even with the low density people are using, is still pretty damn expensive. So
It
the
is.
idea that Maptician helps you optimize your lease of office space, the software
Absolutely.
price point is going to be irrelevant.
Yeah.
$1 million. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Mehdi, did I pause enough for the wrap up? And then Gary, Solomon, I didn't, or Jeff, I didn't mean to leave you guys out of this recording. So raise your hand if you've got anything else to say, well, why you're in love with it. But ultimately, from a DCS perspective, we're going to help. Maptician is the software. We're the AV integrator and the partner. Mehdi has brought up the store and the website to show digital signage, check-in kiosks, virtual receptions, and then obviously adjacent to the conference room, signage and door signage. So inside the conference room, you then get the cameras and the televisions that are also digital signage platforms, and we can integrate directly to those as well. So yeah, that's the hardware side of the magic that is Maptician. With that said, I think we're at a good place to wrap up, unless Gary or any of the other DCS PVC team wants to comment. And again, many thanks for bringing up the images of the devices and examples of those. I want to say going once, going twice. I'll talk about next steps. Next steps, go to our website, book a demo, email sales@perfectvc.com or sales@dcs.global. We'll get you in touch with Maptician. Go to Maptician's website. They've got a call to action button there as well, and
Absolutely.
request a demo. So if you do go there, tell them you heard about it from us, because ultimately we want to make sure that you don't get some fly-by-night reseller. We want you to have the value-added partner and not the value-added reseller. We're more than just a reseller. So, Katie.
That's awesome, Randy. Randy, thank you.
No, it's our pleasure. Gary, you're good. I saw the head nod. You're okay. All right. I'm going to end on record, kick out any non-employee folks, and so we can do some wrap up. So stick around, folks.